Morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning here. So, hope you all had fun at the live stream last night. That was a fun one. A lot of questions seem to be mostly political, but it seems to be that's a topic on everybody's mind here, as it's been that kind of week. So, kind of wanted to follow up a little bit on yesterday's video, and talking a little bit about being gray man. But I want to talk really about the hypocrisy that is going on right now. All right. And, where you're getting your information, what you're listening to, and what you're being told more than anything else. Okay. We've all heard the rules for thee and not for me, that keeps coming out of Washington. But so I don't know if you all caught this yesterday in the news, and we didn't even touch on it in the live stream last night. But I'm going to guess that everybody knows who Alexei Navalny is. But just in case you don't, I'll give you a real brief synopsis on who he is. Okay. Navalny is the opposition leader in Russia against Putin. Okay. He's the guy who was poisoned in Siberia late last year, spent, 5 weeks in a coma or whatever in some German hospital, and went back to Russia this week and was promptly arrested. Okay. Now, if you saw what happened Saturday morning, the Russian people, who a significant portion of them support Navalny, and it's like any other country, okay? Some support the existing administration, some support the opposition, kind of like us, okay? People do have free thought, okay? Well, they went out and started protesting peacefully, picketing, screaming, marching, everything of the sort. Good luck. Nobody was armed. Good luck getting a weapon in Russia. Just not happening. Okay, so it was a peaceful protest. And of course, Putin's government goes in and starts arresting all these protesters. Okay, again, peaceful protesters. They don't have the Constitution like we do with freedom of speech and everything like that, but they were doing basically the exact same thing that has been going on at state capitals, was going on with the exception of breaking into the Capitol building back on January 6th. That group of people was just over the top, but, everybody else was peacefully protesting, listening to the speeches and do whatever. Kind of like what you saw in Angry Prepper's video. People milling around, talking, listening to the speeches, whatever. Peaceful protesting, okay? Well, of course, with the Russian government arresting all these people, the new administration here in the United States, of course, had to stick their nose in it, okay, and condemn the arrests of peaceful protesters. This is the quote out of the spokesperson for the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, okay? I'll read this to you. The U.S. supports the right of all people to peacefully protest and to have freedom of expression. Steps are being taken by Russian authorities to suppress those rights. Russian authorities are arresting peaceful protesters and journalists. It appears to be a concerted campaign to suppress free speech and peaceful assembly. This continues years of Russia tightening restrictions and performing repressive actions against civil society, independent media, and political opposition. Sound familiar? Okay. Again, we're going to condemn the Russian government for doing the exact same thing that our government is currently doing. Okay. So this is where it gets even better. All right. And this was back last back on Tuesday, during Anthony Blinken's confirmation hearing. Now, Blinken is the choice of Biden to be the new Secretary of State. Mind you, the head diplomat. All right. Blinken comes up and says, Navalny is a voice for millions and millions of Russians, and their voice needs to be heard. Attempts to silence that voice by silencing Mr. Navalny is something we strongly condemn. Now, let's think about this. Let's change that phrase to just one word. Let's say it says, Trump is a voice for millions and millions of Americans, and their voice needs to be heard. Attempts to silence that voice by silencing Mr. Trump is something we strongly condemn. Would that be a problem? I don't know. Ask Twitter, ask Facebook, ask YouTube, ask Instagram, ask anybody who is silencing that voice. Okay? So our government officials under the Biden administration are condemning Russia for doing exactly what they are doing here. Okay? Again, this is the rules for thee and not for me. This is the problem, guys. This is what we need to watch out for. All right? Be very, very careful about what you say, who you listen to, and what they say. Okay? Because you can wind up getting in a whole ton of trouble because you said something and then did something the opposite. Okay? It goes back to the old saying, do as I say and not as I do. Okay? Well, that's great for when you're rearing kids, and your 5-year-old wants to crawl under the car, and you tell him not to, and he goes, well, Dad, you crawl under the car, Dad's changing the oil or whatever it would be. That's fine. Do as I say and not as I do. That makes sense. But do as I say, not as I do doesn't work in international diplomacy, okay? And it doesn't work domestically either for individuals. Because, and I'll use this as an example, okay, to kind of bring it down. As you guys probably know, owning a weapon in Australia is very difficult, okay? So let's say, for example, the United States goes to Australia and says, we think that every one of your citizens needs to own semi-automatic weapons to protect Australia just in case the country's invaded. Well, they're doing the same thing here that they are by trying to restrict us from owning. I mean, it's hypocrisy. And this is going to be Joe Biden's legacy. And here we are 5 days in, okay? That his administration is already showing what kind of hypocrite they are. It's not going to take long for the rest of the world to figure it out. It's not going to take long for the people that voted for him to figure it out too. I mean, at the pace Biden's going right now, he's going to be a laughingstock in the face of in the eyes of the world. That's just that simple. And while we heard for so many years, the entire Trump administration that, we have no respect from the rest of the world because Trump's our president, stuff like this is going to really damage the United States' reputation in the rest of the world. And that can come to damage you. So what I'm saying is you're somewhat at fault, if you will, or at least going to have to face the repercussions for what his administration is doing. But you also need to learn from it too in your own lives in regards to prepping. Because, if you got MAG members or something, if you make a promise to them, you got to keep it. All right. Hey, I'll trade you the beans for the eggs or whatever it would be. Such as so. I'll help you dig out your garden or whatever. I'd pick something. All right. You got to stick to this stuff. And, we're going back, again, we all know this. We're going back to the way things were in the 1930s. And your word was your bond. And, I know a lot of people try to, walk on a razor's edge on, what they say and what they do. We're going to get back to the days where a handshake means everything. Your name is everything. And, so make sure that, when you say something anymore, you absolutely 100% mean it. Not saying that you don't, okay? I'm just a reminder here, okay? Because your word is going to be your bond and you're going to be judged on it. Because as communities get smaller and smaller and smaller, you do not want to be that outcast that people in the neighborhood can't trust. And we're already seeing that in the political neighborhood. The Biden administration is already turning into that neighbor that nobody can trust. So that's kind of how I wanted to put it this morning. Just give you guys something to think on. Have a good Sunday, y'all. Pinball out.